blue trophies. You only get so many chances during the course of a career. It's so great when you can make that top 10. We'll have all the coverage of that for you tomorrow, but right now we are grinding it out on Lake Okeechobee. Been a little more tough today for our anglers, slower, different conditions, of course, Mark Zona.
Exactly right, Tommy. Taking a look at Lake Okeechobee. Our takeoff right there in the north side, just out of Okeechobee City. C. Scott Driver Park, right in the Kissimmee River. One of our anglers, well, several anglers in there today. One of our top performers, Tyler Rivette, seeing the northwest corner, though, always a big player on Lake Okeechobee. That is the case this time around.
Well, let's start out our back half of this show with Toyota Midday Report. We'll start right there with Gerald Swindle. Gerald Swindle fishing very well this week. Okeechobee making it into the top 10.
Got to hear Jason Christie say he has the look. The look you have when you feel like you could chase down yet another. Would be his third Angler of the Year trophy. Swindle starting with a nice 4.5 pounder right here on a bladed jig. Said a lot of his work with a Magnum Zoom speed worm, bladed jigs. He really thought yesterday afternoon he had to get out of the area where he watched the Brandon Cobb show and found a little pond that he thought was going to fire this morning. Not the case so far. From there, we're going to slink on down to South Bay. Clark Wendelin, another angler that felt he had the right lure, an area down in South Bay that has been really throttled the last couple weeks here on Lake Okeechobee. Getting it done with a swimming worm. We're going to talk about that worm a little bit more tomorrow. Clark Wendelin said, please don't tell everybody today. I don't want anybody to know. Well, I told him his competitors, they're not watching Bass Live. He said, yeah, others are. Clark Wendelin.
Well, he's moved up.
Keeping it real.
Listen,
just keeping it real.
Clark has a familiar, sneaky way about him, as some anglers we have covered in years past.
It's worked.
Does work, has worked. Brandon Cobb, over 32 pounds, almost 33 pounds on day number 2, still getting it done.
He's up pretty good.
A couple solid ones in his live well. Started with a 4-pounder early this morning, but definitely a little bit slower. Will that sunshine later this afternoon help, sitting with unofficially just under 8 pounds for 3 bass?
Yeah, he'd like to upgrade from that for sure, and he's going to be patient, wait it out. He's been patient all week long. Out to Tyler Rivette, doing something completely different from right out of the box in this tournament, and really surprising a lot of folks.
Yeah, and I have heard the comment that he's been the only angler in this field really to find that forward-facing sonar bite in the Kissimmee River. There was a little bit of it that leaked out a week or 2 ago from Tyler Rivette, hoping Tyler kind of turns the ship around here. Really the story of the day so far, Steve Kennedy fishing in a crowded backwater, getting it done with a Spro poppin' frog. Cool story. I actually sent Ron Moore a picture of that bait. Maybe we'll take a peek at that later. Throwing a poppin' frog for these oversized Okeechobee slouches. Yeah, well, he sent me a picture of that poppin' frog. And you know how they have a belly weight? Kind of weighs them down the water where you can get distance with it. He said he was backlashing yesterday for about 45 minutes until he realized his poppin' frog was so beat up, the internal weight actually fell out of the plastic. It took him an hour to figure that out. That is your Toyota Midday.
I noticed him having a few episodes of that yesterday.
Anyway, it's been a decent morning. They're biting pretty good. There don't appear to be as many fish in here as there have been. It's harder to get a bite, but when you do get one, they've been pretty aggressive. But yeah, we got 5 in the box. Actually caught a few more. Should have low mid-20s again. We're 1 bite away from a really good bag to me, but not upset with what we got so far. That 1 8-pounder really makes a difference. But yeah, let's do it again. We got what? Still got almost 3 hours to fish, so need 1 more big bite, and then we'll take 1 more after that, 1 more after that if we can get them. But I actually picked up a glide bait and started playing around. The first cast, I had about a 5-pounder come up. I see a wake. Had about a 5-pounder come up right beside the boat following, but I didn't catch her. Anyway, it's a fun place to fish. That's all I can tell you.
Really watch Steve Kennedy the years that we've
Nothing like
covered him on the
anything else we ever
Bassmaster Elite
fished.
Series. He is so good at targeting individual bass, looking for, obviously a little different here than other wins he's had in the past, but hunting individual big bass, looking for little water movement, stuff like that. And you really look at, outside of Tyler Rivette, you look at a lot of the anglers, as much pressure as Okeechobee got in the last month, a lot of the, we saw a little bit of plinking that excelled on day one, close to the boat, stuff like that. A lot of our anglers that have really risen up the leaderboard, long casts. These fish have been so throttled. Long cast, get your stuff away from the boat. That has been one common theme in a lot of your anglers that are still fishing today and probably tomorrow.
Check that out.
Steve Kennedy
Jay,
looking for his fourth
look.
Bassmaster Elite Series win. He can pretty much win anywhere. He's proven that. Unidentified craft up above
a couple
there.
identified.
Pretty mean looking. Absolutely. His first win
Oh, yeah.
came 2007 when he set the record for 4 days of fishing.
That right there was his, that is where the addiction to swim baiting started and continued for the better side of a decade.
Yeah.
When we covered Steve Kennedy, there was pretty much a swim bait in his hand every single tournament. Right here.
Yeah. West Point Lake, Chattahoochee.
You remember the storm that came in at that
my
weigh-in?
God, the toad
Tom?
strangler.
Oh my God. Absolutely fantastic. That's where we met Steve Kennedy in a parking lot. He was throwing a discontinued Bass Pro Shop swim bait, wouldn't let us look at it or get a picture, and ran across the parking lot full speed with his rods.
Yeah.
That's when we thought Steve Kennedy was truly a nutbag.
We had grounds for that.
He has
suspicion.
been
We had grounds.
fun to cover. From there, Lake Dardanelle. Big victory on a swim jig here. Got to see very similar fishing when he almost won the Lake Conroe Classic. But if you look at all of those tournaments, targeting individual giant bass.
Won that one in a little tiny area no one else could find.
Super flooded Lake Dardanelle that year.
Yeah.
The place, there, 2 or 3 of the main areas that won that event are never hardly accessible on normal levels.
He has been really fun to cover. You know, not a
Absolutely.
guy, not a dude with a lot of sponsors. May not need a lot of sponsors. So he does his work on his own.
Super intelligent. I
Yes.
mean, just absolutely has figured out so many things during the course of his career.
Seems to get a lot more excited when we're on big fish fisheries.
Yeah.
Most humans do. So, you know.
If you're human, you
Right.
probably do.
Like Keith Combs, it's been a little puzzling since 2019 how not guaranteed a classic spot has
Right.
been for him. How many tough stretches we've seen Steve Kennedy go down when the schedule's kind of set up for big
Well,
fish places lately.
You know, it was really interesting to listen to Jason Christie and to Hank Cherry. There is and there's so many of our viewers that are hardcores that fish a lot of tournaments. There is such a razor's edge when you're a Hank Cherry or a Jason Christie or a Keith Combs or that dude right there, a Steve Kennedy. There is such a razor's edge of going for a victory and epically failing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
There is not a very
Especially depending on who you are. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's not okay, I'm going to play it safe
Right.
mode to those guys.
Right stuff.
He's doing his job over these first 2.5 days, 23 pounds and change on day 1. Same thing on day 2, and he's right there, same spot right now, 23.11. With plenty of time to fish.
You don't know which way to go, do you?
So not much has changed. Still terrible. I still got 3 fish. I'm starting to debate running somewhere else, close anyway. But it's just kind of one of those things. I know the fish, I think it's just the weather today. They're not pulling up great, and I don't have a lot of faith in a different place. Moving around in here, I've seen a few fish get caught. Some guys are catching them a lot better than I am. I'm not having a great day, but typical Florida, man. I mean, some days you get bit, and I mean, we got 3 fish. We get a 7-pounder. It's a whole different ball game, and that's kind of the way it goes here. So, kind of weighing in my mind whether I want to stay here, try to get a couple bites. I know it's not phenomenal, but I don't think it's gonna be phenomenal anywhere. Or try to go somewhere else, see if it's a little bit better. So, I don't know, kind of at that point. Water looks good though. That's the one thing. Usually I don't abandon my area in Florida unless the water starts looking bad. And it doesn't look bad. It actually looks better than it has, which might have just spread the fish out or something, and that's the reason it's not seeming as good today. But no, hadn't really missed any or anything, just not getting any bites.
Brandon Cobb, you heard it. He's 2 fish to a limit, so things could turn around very, very quickly for him.
Got to spend a lot of time in the boat with Brandon over our break. Awesome to fish with. Really fun.
Yeah.
Really fun. And amazing guest as far as to break down what we were doing and stuff like that. Really, really sharp, man.
He's a college fishing coach, or was. I don't know if he still is.
He's an assistant.
Assistant, okay.
And that's what head coach Drew for Lander University posted yesterday, shared his 32-15 and said, "Attaboy, assistant coach." So Drew likes to keep him in check that he's not doing.
Exactly.
Like, Drew, come on now.
Tommy's given me a little of that business
Yeah.
throughout the years.
I could see
Win-win
that
for the
he's got
yeah,
those
the
traits,
underclass.
you know.
Okay, come on.
Amen. And really take a look right there at a lot of these areas, what these guys are concentrating on. So many of these big ones kind of get on those highways, those clear boat lanes as it gets into like little ponds and backwaters. A lot of those highways have been really, really critical on some of the big ones throughout this tournament.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we got a Skeeter Boats Big Fish Alert. Brandon Card, a 6-pound, 4-ouncer. He's jumped into our top 10 in 10th place.
Incredible.
He's got a couple 1.5-pounders. He could really upgrade and stay in there.
He's in this region as well. He is in this
is in the
spot with
mix.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Kennedy, all these guys. Haven't seen Bernie unless I've just missed him in this region. I don't know if he scrapped it or adjusted, but yeah, Card dealing with viral meningitis the last few months and then Bell's palsy. Incredible.
Yeah,
Man,
Hope he
the day
continues to
has,
improve.
the day hadn't been bad. We've had the bites, but we just have not been able to capitalize on them for whatever reason. They just are getting away from us. But it's definitely a different day. The weather, this little bit of cold front has, I don't know if it's really knocked them in the head. There's still fish here, but they are not biting like they, had been. So we're in a little area right now where we've had several bites this week. So hopefully, or maybe we can get us 1 or 2 of them. It'd be nice. I mean, there's still big ones to be caught in here. A couple 6-pounders would go a long way. Get rid of a couple of those little ones we got, and then see what happens. But it's all in all, it's been a good tournament. I've had a lot of fun. Yesterday was one of the best fishing days I've ever had in my life, and I have nothing to complain about. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, he does like slinking back to that area, that giant that missed his frog earlier. That is the exact corner.
Almost 28 pounds yesterday. Something to watch. We saw it most of it from Bernie Schultz's boat.
Well, he had a gorilla this morning right there.
we've had a few drop out of our top 10 who were there to start this day. We've had a few move up. That's to be expected. Is that going to continue? Are our original leaders going to reassert themselves as we move into the final 3 and 4 hours worth of fishing? Steve Kennedy, though, has moved up to the top. Tyler Rivette, Brandon Cobb in pursuit. Those two just about neck and neck. Logan Latuso, the rookie, the only rookie we've got in our top 10 right now. Clark Wendlandt, Jockinson, and Jake Whitaker. We'll be back